Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back at it again, talking about the unsung heroes of the football team. We're talking interior offensive linemen. I'm here with Moody and Isaiah. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
What's good, y'all? How y'all doing out there?
Doing well, Eric. Can't wait to talk about some big man, some fat boys today.
Yes,
Ready to get
sir.
it in.
Them corn-fed boys.
Yes, sir. All right, so let's go ahead and just get right to it and start with some honorable mentions.
Well, this will be our first. This is our interior offensive line list. So centers and guards together on this list for the top 10.
Gotcha. Yep. Break it down to y'all so y'all don't lose track. All right, so first we'll start with some honorable mentions. We'll start with the two guards in Tampa Bay. I believe their name is Ali Marpet and Mr. Ryan Jensen. Ryan Jensen is souped up Willie Hernandez. He's a instigating fat guy out there that's always trying to get into a bar fight with every player walking. And Marpet's the quiet guy that just mauls people along. Jensen's annoying. He's annoying. He's annoying. I'll also give a shout out to some couple interior guys in New England. Shaq Mason, the guard. David Andrews, the center. I mean, that was one of the best run blocking offensive lines in their last Super Bowl run, and they're looking forward to it being another run blocking powerhouse to help them.
Although they probably lost the best player in that unit.
I mean, apparently they have a guy that they took in late in day 3 that's actually like played really well.
The only thing Bill Belichick can draft his old lineman, so I would.
Luckily, that's a game. No one else can, so that's probably why. Next, we'll go with Andrews Pete in New Orleans. I think he's the most unsung hero on that offensive line. The tackles get a lot of flair. And then they got the rookie, Mr. from Michigan.
McCoy.
They got McCoy at center, and then they got Cesar Reese.
Reese.
So they got a lot of other young guys and the tackles. But Andrews Pete, he's been doing it for a while. He was the former first-round pick. Carved out a nice career. Went to New Orleans to rebuild that offensive line because, like Cleveland, they have a lot of guys that were eligible for all of these offensive line lists. I might as well then go to J.C. Treader, the one Cleveland interior guy that didn't make my list. The other two guys did. The center for Cleveland. I think he's underrated center. He does his job. He does the harder job of getting guys and organized on that Cleveland offensive line. So, I mean, that's a hard job, but he's got some talent around him. I don't really know how great he is, but he was good in Green Bay. I believe that's where he came from first, and he's been good in Cleveland. And then lastly, I'll finish with two more guys. Roger Staffel on the Tennessee Titans. You saw him in L.A. for the Super Bowl run, one of the best run blocking guards. He's not an amazing pass protector, but
he's a mauler, though.
Absolute mauler. And then lastly, a guy coming off a catastrophic injury, Brandon Brooks for the Philadelphia Eagles. Before he tore the Achilles.
I think that's what he did.
Before he had the catastrophic injury, he was an elite guard, paving the ways to be in that Quentin Nelson, Zach Martin class. But he's older and he suffered a bad injury. So we'll just wait to see where he comes out. But he was putting in some work before he got hurt.
Well, everybody on my honorable mentions list you covered, so I don't think we really need to go too much further into that. I think we just go ahead and get into our.
I'll just ask him, who do you think is the best duo of the two duos we named? The two guys in New England and the two guys in Tampa Bay. So Tom Brady's former interior guys versus his current interior guys. What are the chances? What a lucky guy.
I'm gonna go with the Bucks guys because Brady's the guy playing quarterback, and a big part of your offensive line's ability is how great your quarterback is at avoiding pressure, at getting the ball out. Because at the end of the day, sacks are much more of a QB stat than they are an offensive line stat. And Tom Brady, as the master aficionado of the QB, I'll give the Tampa Bay guys the edge just because they have somebody in the back who can do everything for them.
And lastly, what about J.C. Treader? Is he the third wheel? Is he the fifth wheel on that Cleveland Browns?
Treader made my list, okay. So I am not going to have him as the third wheel. I think I don't like Teller as much as everybody else.
He's also 1 year wonder.
So
really.
Teller was going to be more of an honorable mention for me than he is on the top 10. But Cleveland's loaded at the offensive line. Any of those guys could have been top 10 if you wanted them to be. If you extended this out to 20, they would all be on the list. That's how good this offensive line is in Cleveland.
Well, I mean, since you went with Teller, I'm just going to knock it out. He's my 10. An elite season last year, a guy who was on the Browns as a day 3 pick that got traded for and had a breakout year last year. Elite guard. I think he might be him. It's between him and J.C. Treader between who's the weak link on that offensive line, but they really don't have any elite player. He's clearly their second best guard, but I'll go with Wyatt Teller. How do you feel about Wyatt Teller?
Wyatt Teller's a stud. He had a really good season last year. And I think the Stefanski scheme, the fact that he has two of the best yards after contact running backs in the NFL helped them a lot. And their offensive line is just so talented around them. He just seems one of the guys who just took advantage of it the most. I just have to see it again from him. It's like the guy came out of nowhere to suddenly be one of the best guards in pro football. You just got to see somebody keep up that level of play over multiple seasons before I think you could just be a solidified guy. But 10, 11, 12, 13, I won't argue too much.
Pretty sure he fits the system so well that the system's probably making him look a little bit better than he is, but still a great year. At number 9, I got Rodney Hudson, who got traded. Did he get cut or did he get traded?
I think they traded.
He got traded.
He's in Arizona.
They cut Gabe Jackson.
Yeah, he got traded.
He's in Arizona right now. Okay. Yeah, so he got traded to Arizona before. And in his time in Oakland, he was one of the best centers in the league. Definitely on the back end of his career, but he'll be a big help for that offensive line. Help Kyler Murray develop it, like we'll see later with Corey Linsley. A center can, like we saw with Alex Mack when he joined the Atlanta Falcons for their Super Bowl run. A veteran center who knows how to line everybody up and identify what stunts are coming and who's blitzing is a big help because that's just a different part of the mental game for the quarterback. So just getting that out the way with a guy who knows how to identify things is crucial and a big help.
Yeah, Rodney Hudson is significantly higher on my list. I think he's still really, really good. I'll get more into depth to him when we get up to my point in the list. But yeah, having that, I think it's going to be huge for Arizona to have that veteran presence, especially with a young quarterback. Rodney Hudson can call all the checks for you. He can call all the blitzes. And he's arguably still the best pass protecting interior offensive lineman in the NFL, despite his advanced age. He's not going to be moving anybody off the line anymore. But as far as the things that are most important for a young team, a young passing heavy team, I think Rodney Hudson's a perfect fit for that team.
Yeah, he'll fit that system.
Right? I think he's a perfect fit for that team, and he's still got a few good years left of being a high level center, in my opinion.
Okay, so on my list, I actually have 2 8s because I clearly miscounted. But at number 8B, we'll call it 8B, so I have 11, unfortunately. I have Ryan Kelly, the newly paid Ryan Kelly for the Indianapolis Colts. Probably an unsung hero that got no attention on that offensive line because they had Quentin Nelson, because they had the former first-round pick who retired. What was his name again?
Costanzo?
Yeah, Anthony Costanzo. He retired. He was a big name on that line, and they have the other right tackle who also just got paid recently. So, they got a lot of guys, but Ryan Kelly, the center for a good offensive line always has a good center. So I'm going to give him his credit, his just due. Now, it might help a lot that he plays next to Quentin Nelson, who's probably the best road grader in the league.
Yeah, I think Quentin Nelson has dragged Ryan Kelly onto this list for you. That's how good Quentin Nelson is.
But I give him some credit. And since, I have 2 8s here, I can't believe that I've miscounted. But I have Joe Thuney, former New England Patriots offensive guard, center. I think he played some tackle for them, versatile offensive lineman who made the move to Kansas City on that 5-year, $85 million contract where they get the money to make that happen. It's crazy. But Joe Thuney, his best game, we all saw it, was in that amazing comeback against the Atlanta Falcons. He was pretty elite in protecting against Grady Jarrett in the second half. Excuse me. I just got to see him do it outside of New England and do it in a more spread shotgun scheme that's going to be heavy pass. He was a part of that second half of the New England dynasty where they became back to a little bit more run heavy. So I know he'll be good in the run game, but I just don't know how much Kansas City will be running the ball. So that'll be left to be seen.
But I think Joe Thuney is actually really good in pass protection, though. Like, obviously, the New England factor is always a thing. Having Tom Brady as your QB is always a thing. Mahomes is going to hold the ball a lot longer. So the sacks he might give up a little bit more pressure. He might give up a little bit more sacks just because of the system he's in. But overall, like, New England was one of those teams where they could do both. They could run for 200 yards one week. They could be throwing it 50 times the next week when Joe Thuney was around on that offensive line. I think he's a really quality pass protector. You and I have him. I have him a little bit higher than you do, but
he's not elite, but he's not
one of the elite guys, but he's definitely in the top 10. And he's just a really good player, really good football player.
At number 7, I have a guy. I don't know how much he has left in the tank, but he was elite last year. I have Jason Kelsey for the almost at 76ers for the Philadelphia Eagles. Behind Lane Johnson, like we said in the offensive line tackle video, he's probably was the second most important player on that offensive line. He's Travis Kelsey's brother, so the bloodlines are there. He's an elite pass protector, elite run blocker, do-it-all center. The only problem with him is that he's on the wrong side of 30, so we'll see how much more he has left in the tank.
Yeah, I think Kelsey's place on this list is really going to be about motivation because, like, the Eagles don't really look like they're going to be super competitive this year. Brandon Brooks is constantly dealing with injuries. Dillard just got hurt again. They're about to be trading him.
Lane Johnson's always hurt.
Lane Johnson's always hurt. Kelsey just seems to be like another guy who's going to become up late on this list, the last of a dying unit of the mid-2010s elite offensive lines. Kelsey was a part of it, but at the end of the day, he's still really, really good. One of those vets that's just knows how to get the job done. I think him having a great offensive line around him has helped, and I'm interested to see how he looks when the rest of the offensive line around him.
He was good last year.
He was good last year, but this guy was the guy who people were calling the best center in the league. But then when the offensive line diminished around him, he no longer looked like the best center in the league. And I think that brings you down. So this is a guy who was probably consistent top 5 over the last few years up until this past year, where it looked like there was actually some drop off.
And rounding out my bottom 5, 6, because I had 11, I have the newly paid Frank Ragnow for the Detroit Lions. Him and TJ Hawkinson are probably the only good players on that team, so I'm going to give them their just due. He's elite at everything, but you probably won't even realize how good he is because he'll probably be the only good player on his offensive line unless Penei Sewell hits the ground running. He hasn't been really good in preseason.
Because once again, Detroit's playing an offensive lineman out of position. But
what is he playing for them?
He's right tackle.
Oh, because they have Taylor Decker at left tackle.
But Penei Sewell was transcended at left tackle. So that's where he should be playing. It's exactly what they did to the guy you're talking about right now, Frank Ragnow, where he looked like a bust at guard, and then they moved into his actual proper position, and he looked like a better player. And it's exactly what they're doing to Penei Sewell right now. If you drop guys in the top 10, you play them at their best position, you move everybody else around.
I'd hope that. Taylor Decker was drafted in the top half of the draft, so he was already a left tackle, but that's a different conversation. But we'll see how they work that out. I'd hope Penei Sewell, who was supposed to be this transcendent generational tackle, would be decent at right tackle. He's looked bad, but it's early still, and it's a rookie. It's hard for rookie tackle.
And he was the youngest. He was 20. He's the youngest player in the draft too.
Yeah. Even Ty Smith struggled at tackle his first few years, and he was playing right tackle as well. But yeah, Frank Ragnow, elite pass protector, elite leader, probably the leader on that Detroit team with TJ Hawkinson.
Not saying a whole lot.
Him and TJ Hawkinson are the only good things on that team. Luckily, if they get something out of Penei Sewell, he'll lead a good run heavy team. They'll be running that Shanahan McVay system. So we'll see how much better he gets. They paid him, so he's going to be there for the long haul. But Detroit don't let anybody go until it's over. So maybe he signed himself for something that he's not ready for. But he got paid. He's a good player. He struggled the first few years, but he busted out at center last year. Good player, Frank Ragnow.
All right, so I'll just go ahead and get started on my 10 through 6. I think we have 2 names that are similar. At number 10, I got Jason Kelsey. We already talked in depth about him, Super Bowl champion, leader of that Eagles offensive line for their Super Bowl run. He's outstanding. We'll see how much longer he plays. At number 9, I have Frank Ragnow. Once again, we just went in depth with him. He's one of the best young centers in the game right now. Detroit finally played him in his proper position. He's outstanding. He's a great athlete. He's a guy who's they're really good at he's really good at pulling and getting on the edge, reaching guys. He's not really much of a road grader, but he'll definitely get in the way and make his block happen. That's for sure. At number 8, I got more finesse guy, but definitely a guy who gets the job done at a high level. At number 8, I got J.C. Treader. J.C. Treader, with the Browns offensive line being the best in the league last year, basically, he's the leader of that group. He's making the checks. Because Baker's not even at the level where he's able to see all those things, but J.C. Treader does an outstanding job at getting those guys in the right position to get the pass protection straight. Their run blocking is outstanding. They're one of the best teams at yards before contact in the NFL. And whether it's running behind Petonio or Wyatt Teller, he's in the middle of it, hitting those double teams, getting up to the next level. He's been a really, really good player for them. And number 7, I have his teammate, his next door neighbor, and Joel Bitonio. Joel Bitonio has been one of the most underrated guards in the league for a long time now. It's good that now that Cleveland's finally come up, that he's getting his due. He's absolutely outstanding in pass protection. He's one of the best pass protecting offensive linemen in the NFL. He doesn't give up a lot of pressures. He doesn't give up any sacks, really. He's just been super solid and super steady at the right guard. Yeah, at the right guard position.
No, he's their left guard.
He's their left guard. All right.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'll look into it.
He's been a super solid player at guard for Cleveland for many, many years. And as you see, as they've added better talent at offensive line, it's only shown how good he is and how much better the Cleveland offense has become, with Joel Bitonio being one of their solid guys at that spot. And at number 6, I got Brandon Scherf from Washington Football Team. This is a guy who he's probably the only good player on that line left. Since Trent Williams is gone, he's dragging a really, really bad unit by himself, which I think has kind of brought down his play a little bit. But when he's on, when he's healthy, when he's engaged, he's unbelievable. He's one of the best maulers in the game. He creates lots and lots of movement on the offensive line. He gets guys out of the way. Big, small, doesn't matter. He can pull them. Not elite in pass protection, I don't think, but he's still solid in that area. It's hard to get around him. It's hard to go through him. He's a guy that you have to beat with quickness. But in a phone booth, he's one of those guys who just makes a mess out of everything. He gets guys out of the way, blows people up on the goal line. He's been one of the best guards in the league for a really long time. Brandon Scherf.
So that was your.
That's my 6 through 10.
All right, so we'll get a little bit of arguments here for this list. A little bit more interested in the tackle list because I think the tackle.
Well, did anybody in my 6 through 10 not make your top 10?
Yeah, all your guys look to be in my top 5. So we'll get back to it. So it might be switch on opinions on guys. Like we both had Kelsey on the second half and Ragnar in the second half. I had both higher a little bit, but I mean. Let me just continue, and then we'll just finish it up because we'll have the same guys anyway. So at 5, I got the newly paid Corey Linsley of the LA Chargers. He is the best center in the NFL today, an elite pass protector. He's a better pass protector than run blocker. But, with center, you prefer the pass protection because he's going to point out the stunts, identify blitzers, identify where the slants are coming from, and all the movement on the defensive line and linebackers. So that's like for a young quarterback for Justin Herbert to get him. And you see how mad Aaron Rodgers were that they let him go. He's another guy like David Bakhtiari. They allowed Aaron Rodgers to move around in the pocket because they hold their own and they move guys off the ball and they protect and they create that pocket depth. But we got Bakhtiari creating the depth, and we have Lindsey who was keeping the front. I can't think of the word. But in place, keeping the front in place, getting that stagger good for the pocket depth and pocket curvation. Yeah, I use that. But he was the point of attack too at center. Very important for the Green Bay Packers. Big loss for the Packers, but they're always going to draft an offensive lineman, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But that's a big game for the San Diego Chargers. If they could keep him healthy, health problems, question mark.
Yeah, Corey Linsley, he's a guy who seems like he's getting better as he gets older. Like he's become such a stalwart for the Packers and their pass protection and their offensive line scheme. But it's going to be interesting because now that he's separate from Aaron Rodgers, was he elite at making those checks and getting those things done, or was Aaron Rodgers elite? That's what we're about to find out. He's going to have a young quarterback who's not used to making the same checks. He's going to have to do a little bit more heavy lifting and helping Justin Herbert figure out what he's seeing in front of him, and also his fellow offensive linemen, because outside of Rashawn Slater, they don't really have a whole lot.
His former teammate.
Bulaga is. They did add Bulaga on the offensive line.
Another guy with
Bulaga was on his last.
Injuries have really.
Injuries have hurt. I've heard him, but at the end of the day, the injuries that's still a thing, he's always hurt. He's suffered multiple big time injuries, so I have a hard time believing Bulaga's got too many quality years as a high level starter.
He's still an above average player.
But he's still an above average player, but that's mostly because we're grading on a curve because that's how bad offensive line play is in the NFL. But yeah, just staying on Corey Linsley though, he's been outstanding with his mental game and his pass protection, and he's gonna have to carry that over to the LA Chargers for them to have a really good season with Herbert.
And number 4 and 3, I've got the 2 guys who I believe are the most underrated players in the league because they play guard. and they both were late to the party, and one of them plays in Cleveland. So at 4, I've got Brandon Sheriff. Get to see him a lot. Drafted top 5. The Giants were high on him. They were trying to get him at that 9 or 10 pick that they had that year. The Washington football team took him. He played tackle converted to guard, which is what we've seen a lot of these guards were tackles in college converted to guard. And I mean, is he the best? He's probably the best non-elite. It's because there's 2 guys who are just in a different class. He's probably the best non-elite run block. So the next guy I have in front of him is clearly Joe Bitonio. So Bitonio's the better pass protector. So outside of that top elite guys, Bitonio's probably the best pass protector, and Sheriff's the best run protector. But we'll leave the other 2 guys for the other 2 guys. They're just in a class of their own.
Everyone knows who 1-2 is. So.
But Brandon Sheriff, I mean, he's really, and they're both good the other way. So Brandon Sheriff is also really good in pass protection. He's gotten way better in pass protection, actually. That was his struggle coming in. He was a road grader. That's why they moved him to guard. But good for him. We'll be interested to see how they handle his contract situation. He's playing on the tag.
Hopefully they screw it up.
But they don't have anything on that offensive line other than him. So I don't know how they can afford, after losing Trent Williams and Morgan Moses, I don't really know how they could afford to lose him. And maybe they have to go put him, maybe we'll see him like we saw from Zach Martin and Quentin Nelson. We'll see him at some tackle in a pinch if necessary to see if he has that versatility. And then for Bitonio, he is a left guard. He's been a stalwart for that. I don't think a lot of people have known, but he's been an elite left guard probably for the last 7 years. And I mean, he was with him and Zeitler were probably. Well, now luckily he did get to play next to Joe Thomas for a while. But him, Zeitler, and Joe Thomas were the first iteration of a good Cleveland Browns offensive line when they really didn't. When they were protecting trash quarterbacks.
And the 16 teams, all those guys are still there somehow.
But now he somehow survived. He's made it through the ashes of the flames put by those terrible teams, and he's survived to this new era of Cleveland Browns football. Hopefully, he gets to see him through to some playoff success. Because he deserves it, because he was on a bad team for a long time and he made it through. And then number 2, I'm going to go with Zach Martin. What more can I say about Zach Martin other than before Quentin Nelson broke onto the scene, because he's clearly my one. Before Quentin Nelson broke onto the scene, Zach Martin was the first Quentin Nelson, the elite guard that could play, that could probably be still be an all-pro, Pro Bowl level tackle. I just think the difference is Quentin Nelson's got play strength that we have never seen in this generation. And I'm just going to take Quentin Nelson's play strength and youth over Zach Martin. They both can play tackle. Quentin Nelson played left tackle, Zach played right tackle, so you can do with that if you want. But I clearly think, like, if I had to give them rankings, I'd give Quentin Nelson a 99, and we've given Zach Martin a 97 or a 98. So, like, they're both going to be cream of the crop guards that can play tackle. They're the best of the best.
All right, I'll just go ahead and run through my top 5 because we got somewhat similar names. I think we have a few disagreements, though. At 5, I got Joe Thuney. We talked in depth about Joe Thuney a lot. I value being elite in pass protection, and that's what Joe Thuney is, and that's what he's going to be for Pat Mahomes in Kansas City. Hopefully the New England curse doesn't go break him. If he turns out to be a good player,
Trent Brown part 2.
If he turns out to be a good player in his own right outside of the New England scheme, this is a no doubt top 5 offensive lineman. And number 4, I got Corey Linsley. Corey Linsley is definitely one of the guys who just became a late risers, who was kind of a good player in his early career, who's now a very, very good to great player. I think he's one of the. I say he's the second best center in the league according to my list. Hopefully he can stay healthy, because that's been his biggest problem, which is why I don't have him at 3rd as the number 1 center. But Corey Linsley's been a really, really good player. At number 3, I got Rodney Hudson. I think he's the best center in the league. He's elite in pass protection still to this day. He's one of the top guys in terms of least amount of pressures given up. He's a vet, obviously on the wrong side of 30. And I guess that John Gruden just wanted to continue to clear house for Vegas for whatever reason. But Rodney Hudson's one of those guys who can turn an offensive line that's below average and give it a floor. Rodney Hudson can give an offensive line a quality floor, and I think he's still got good football left ahead of him. Hopefully he gets reinvigorated in Arizona. A team that's got some more youth, it's more young prospects instead of a team that's kind of been stuck in the mud that Vegas has been. At number 2, I have Quentin Nelson. These Quentin Nelson and Zach Martin are similar level players. They're both at this point. I watched Zach Martin carry an offensive line with nothing around him last year and continue to be an absolute elite player. They moved him to tackle, and all of a sudden the Cowboys offensive line will look from a disaster to quality. If y'all remember those Washington football team games last year when Washington football team was mopping the floor with the Dallas Cowboys, that's because Zach Martin wasn't out there. That's how important Zach Martin is to the team.
He can guard 2 people at once, like Chase Young and
watch the first half of the Thanksgiving game and ask Montez Sweat and Chase Young about what Zach Martin was doing to them. They moved him out to tackle in the pinch. He was elite there. They moved him in. He played guard. He's elite there. So and he's been doing it for longer. So that's why he gets to be number 1. Quentin Nelson is 1B. I really don't think there's a difference in terms of their ability. I think if you take either one of them, and your team's going to be just as much better, whoever you have. So Zach Martin, Quentin Nelson, that's 1-2.
Wow. Obviously, I love both y'all's lists with 2 Notre Dame boys on top.
The O-line factor, that's what Notre Dame is.
You get a lot of – you see similarities with these guys, a lot of Iowa, Notre Dame, a lot of
Wisconsin.
Yeah, a lot of power running teams, which obviously that's attributed to the running back, but mainly the offensive line. I guess I was more surprised at the Moody's Roddy Hudson at 3. I think I do value center a little bit more than guard because they touch the ball more, just as much as the quarterback. And obviously reading defenses, picking up blitzes and such, I think that's really important. His age is obviously a factor with why I was surprised with him.
Overall, usually better. That's the thing about offensive line though. The older ones, like I think I have 5 guys who are 30 plus on this list. Young offensive line, it takes a while for
Quentin Nelson might be the only guy that's under 25 on this list.
Usually, unless it's very rare that you have Quentin Nelson, Zach Martin type of players who step right in day one and they're Hall of Famers. Like that usually don't happen. Most of the time, it's usually 2-3 years of developing, and then they burst onto the scene as they learn how they get stronger in their bodies, they get more in the weight room, and they get more mentally able to dissect what the defense are trying to do.
So watch out for Willie Hernandez this year.
All Willie Hernandez do is fight people, not get flagged.
And obviously, Moody, you got a little bias with
Eric. But that's the final question. Which one is the right one? Who is 1A and who is 1B?
I mean, I with as great as Quentin Nelson is with his age, I think you got to take Quentin Nelson at 1. But you really cannot go wrong.
You can't go wrong. I will say Quentin Nelson's more dominant.
I was telling you before the draft was with Zach Martin.
But also, Quentin Nelson does get flagged, and that's the one thing Quentin Nelson is known to get flagged. Zach Martin has 6 flags.
I'm sure I watched the game, and they called Quentin Nelson for some holy calls, and that's just because he's a little bit
like Tyron Smith. Sometimes you could just be so dominant that the referees are like, "Bro, what are you doing?" Stop. They're definitely Quentin Nelson can definitely be considered a guy who could be so dominant that he gets flagged anyway. He likes to finish people, run through people, put them in the dirt. I don't question Quentin Nelson's ability as a dominant guard run blocker, but overall game and the ability to flex out and play tackle, that's why I took Zach Martin ahead.
I will say I'll give the same comparison for Bitonio and Sheriff. It's clear that Zach Martin's the better pass protector,
and I just value pass protection.
And Quentin Nelson is the better run blocker, but I will say Quentin Nelson played left tackle. He's flexed out to left tackle, so you do with
the tackle switch thing that doesn't matter as much.
It don't matter as much, but still, Zach Martin flexes out to right because he plays on the right side, and Nelson's flexes out to left. And if he was to get lucky enough to play some more, he could pull a Orlando Brown Jr. and probably find himself to a bigger bag. But like I said with the ratings, like they're both going to be 97 plus a piece. For sure, I would take Nelson because he looks like he's just a little bit more powerful. I think his body looks better too.
I think we're taking Nelson because Nelson's 25 and Zach Martin's 30. Yeah. Like if we go back to 25-year-old Zach Martin, like there's nobody you're taking ahead of him.
That was 5 years ago. Unfortunately, that was then.
This is now, and that's fine.
Also, I've never seen Quentin Nelson's body. He's huge.
He's a gigantic human being, extremely light on his feet. Like power, just incredible power, like Aaron Donald level power in terms of how he could just move guys off the spot. And he makes lots of plays. I think he can be a little bit sloppy in his technique sometimes just because he's so physically overwhelming that he doesn't have to rely on technique. And Zach Martin's more of the technician, finesse, not going to get beat, not going to be on the ground, great balance type of guy. He may not create 5 yards of before contact like Quentin Nelson did.
Pancakes. Quentin Nelson's getting you. He's taking you to he's taking guys to IHOP.
But I think
multiple times.
If you're seeing, I think you'll see Quentin Nelson get beat more than you'll see Zach Martin get beat.
Now it's time for me to toss in this top 100 players list. Then why is Quentin Nelson 40 spots higher?
Because his team won. His team won.
I will say that when Quentin Nelson joined his team, they became a perennial playoff team. So I'll give him. He turned that offensive line. Like there's a reason Ryan Kelly,
like Zach Martin did when he showed up.
Ty Smith was there first, and so was Travis Frederick.
Where did
Smith?
Huh?
What pick did Quentin Nelson go in the first round?
6. That's how special he was. So I'm also going to take his first round pedigree of an early high. He was the second best player probably in his draft class as a guard. And I thought he could play tackle, so that's why the value was there because he's still good. He's still an elite pass protector, but like Moody said, they're probably both 98s. So it's just splitting hairs, but surprise, surprise, Moody went with Zach Martin. I'll go ahead and take Quentin Nelson because like we've probably never seen. He's probably our generation's. Who was the guard for Baltimore a few years ago?
Yanda?
Yeah. He's probably our generation Yanda, and he looks even young. Quentin Nelson just, he takes the cake with the way he's built.
He was probably the first like offensive lineman at Notre Dame where I was like, oh shit. Like like I didn't really see that with Zach Martin, obviously because I was younger and I didn't really know football like that. But like Quentin Nelson was that first guy at Notre Dame where I was like, damn. Like
Quentin Nelson's legit, no doubt about it.
So anybody else we forget to mention? Oh, okay. So we'll go with if we have to go with someone who's gonna sneak onto the list next year that didn't even get mentioned today, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's Landon Dickerson for the Philadelphia Eagles. They know how to draft interior offensive line. He's gonna play probably left guard if Brandon Brooks isn't back to play right guard. He might play right guard, but he will translate. He'll translate to center when Kelsey is done. Like them coming out, he's got some injury problems, which is always a question mark. But I actually would for interior defensive linemen and offensive linemen, injuries actually tend to overcome injuries a lot easier because they just have more girth and body. But Landon Dickerson is a choice for a guy that I think he's gonna be making his way to this list soon. How y'all feel about that one?
What was the name again?
Landon Dickerson.
The torn ACL from Bama.
Yeah, I mean you can't go wrong with Alabama. Like those are
Alabama guys are always
they hit and miss really if you look at it.
But you like for someone that you could put like before you see them faith in, Alabama guys are an easy way to go with. I like Nickerson. The ACL thing is also interesting, but he's tough. The guy was trying to play in the Natty with a torn ACL. Like that's tough as hell. Like I gotta give him a lot of respect for that. He's somebody who might be a little bit slow coming out the gate, coming off the injury and stuff like that. But as far as his upside, though, as far as the ability he showed when he was healthy at Alabama, he was nothing short of spectacular. So I can definitely see him being top 10 on the list. If I had a guy who I would put off the list that could be on the list, I would take Eric McCoy from New Orleans. He's already a guy who's like probably top 20-ish already. Just because we didn't extend out that far. But I like him a lot coming out. He's been a really, really solid for the New Orleans offensive line. I think now that he's going into year 3?
You got to be year 3.
He's going into year 3. I think he's poised to take a pretty massive jump. Now, again, with the quarterback situation, Drew Brees ain't scheming it up for him, ain't calling it up for him.
Well, Sean Payton's still
Sean Payton's doing it, but Drew Brees is on the field giving him the gospel about what he's seeing out there. It's going to be totally different with Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, guys who don't have nearly the processing ability of Drew Brees to go out there and help him go out there with the line checks and stuff. So McCoy, he's really in a position where he's got a chance to show how great he really is, and I think he'll do a great job stepping up.
Since you bring it up, I bring him up. I'll bring up his teammate, Cesar Ruiz. Liked him coming out a lot too.
I just wish he was playing center.
That's the other situation where we'll find out if he's really if they have to swap them because both of them played both in college.
Go ahead, Eric.
Obviously, I'm gonna have some bias. I think he came out a year too early, but Aaron Banks, he got drafted by the 49ers. I think obviously the 49ers know what they're doing. He'll be on a strong line with Trent Williams at left tackle. He was a 4 or 5 star coming out of high school. Big dude. I've seen him play at Notre Dame and games on games. I think he came out a year too early. I think he could have been an easy first-round pick next year. But obviously, go get the bag, young man. But yeah, I think he could do some work for the 49ers in that power run game.
And I already mentioned Willie Hernandez. I mean, people were really high on him. He's showed toughness. He just hasn't shown the mental and skill and the skill development yet.
Very
so we'll see if
like
we said, it takes some time with the offensive lineman. But I'm interested to see Elijah Vera Tucker because he's another tackle turn guard. So those guys are really good. I'm interested to see who else. Who's the guy Creed Humphreys from Kansas City?
Yeah.
And lastly, a guy from a couple years ago who actually plays for the Cowboys, Tyler Biadasz.
Tyler Badass.
I'm actually interested. I was really high on him, and I think he fell to day 3. So we'll see if they saw something on the film that they didn't like. But I thought he was a steal. So there's some guys that have just snuck through the cracks.
He felt his injury problems. He's a little bit undersized, and he popped a hamstring in pregame warm-ups before we played Pittsburgh last year. He's just one of those guys where you always got to be worried about the injuries. But Big Ten offensive lineman, if he can be healthy, Zach Martin can elevate him definitely.
Anybody else? Do you think Alex Leatherwood is a guard or a tackle?
These Alabama tackles usually end up being guards. Yeah. That's the thing about those guys. But we'll see now because that was the back in the time where Alabama was super duper run heavy. Guys were getting 35 plus carries a game. Now they're spread pass attack. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Alabama O-line look a little bit better in pass protection as their the college game evolves.
And Eric, I do agree. I had Aaron Banks actually rated higher than Creed Humphreys, and I like Creed Humphreys a lot. I think Aaron Banks is going to fit perfectly in the Shanahan system in San Francisco. They clearly saw what they only draft offensive linemen that can play. And people question why they drafted McGlinchey a few years back so early. They only draft offensive linemen that are going to fit that system. So they got to be athletic. They got to be maulers.
McGlinchey, did he move to right tackle with Trent Williams?
Yeah. He's been a right tackle there because remember they had Joe Staley.
He's always been right tackle in San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else to talk about for the interior offensive line? I think we gave him a lot of love today, actually.
Yeah, this is it was a great shot to like Eric said, the unsung heroes of the offense of the NFL, the fat boys in the interior, taking all the contact, moving guys out the way, having to block Aaron Donald.
They don't do that. They actually don't do that.
Attempt to block Aaron Donald. Those
interior OL. They barely block Leonard Williams nowadays.
Interior OL is definitely, if you have a good one, it's a blessing to have. Although once again, guard and center aren't something that you need elite players at, but having elite players at those positions elevate the floor of your team significantly.
All right, boys.
All right.
I'll do it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, follow us on our socials.
All we do is talk, baby.
Yeah. All right, boys.
All right, take it easy, Eric.